I crashed the Tello in the beach where I was taking these photographs, and I'm going to show you today how to disassemble it and repair the motors. So let's take a look, guys. I crashed it into the sand. You know, I wouldn't think that it would destroy it that quick, but one drop in the sand, and it didn't even hurt the props or anything. But of course, that was enough to have it freeze. These motors are frozen. One in particular is really frozen. Let's take a look. So, trying to show you.
I stole a little ice cream.
Okay, you didn't get me any?
New one?
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's take a look. If we can see it. Look closely. You got some tape on here that I was using to put a camera. Don't worry about that. Look at that. That's a big piece of metal there, stuck to the motor. And here you can just start to see some bits of metal that come from the sand. And everything else on the drone is working fine. So these are still turning without a problem. They're loose. But the front two, especially this one, is really not moving at all. It ingested a lot of sand, I guess, through the port, the drying ports, the cooling ports here. So what's happened is that I believe that at Ladishka Lake, there was a lot of bombing and sinking of ships during World War II. And I believe that's the sand. Basically, it's the boats from dead people. See this? It's actually a piece of sand. I just moved it. So it's a piece of metal that's in the sand. Here's another one. Can you understand what I'm saying?
No.
So I'm going to attempt to disassemble these motors and get them to spin properly, because they just don't spin now at all. And I'll keep you updated. Alright, so take a look here, guys. You'll need a needle nose pair of pliers, some good tool. Take your propellers off. Pull out the motors. They're going to come loose of the wire connections on the bottom. That's not a real big deal because the replacement motors have long ones. You do not need to take off the feet because you can just open this area right here and use the propeller edge to pry out these wires. So then you have the actual wires to solder to. Seems like owning a drone is all about repairing it when it breaks. So that's a new hobby. Electronics and repair. Well, you'd never think that sand would have such an effect, and it probably wouldn't if it was just silica. But actually, this had metal in the sand. Little microscopic pieces of metal. And the motors are too intricate when you take them apart to actually do any repair in there. This is also why oiling them does not work. I happen to have some semi drone motors which were exactly the same size, and I tried those. I actually took the semi apart because it wasn't working anyway. You can see they're the same size, and I used them on the Tello. I had to Dremel them to make them fit. But the silica would probably grind up in there. It might grind up to dust. It might slow the motor down a little bit. But when on this particular beach, and maybe it's on other beaches that have a lot of World War II fighting, there's metal in the sand. Be aware of this. It will kill your drone. Here, I had to tape it, and then I was dremeling the thing in order to make it fit onto the Tello. So you'll see that here in a second. And here's where I'm putting it back on the Tello thinking that it will work. It in fact did not work. It did not work. I had to order the motors from China that actually go on the Tello. Why? The windings inside are different and the specifications are different. Here's the Simi motors and the Tello motors. As you can see, the drone now works perfectly. Thanks. I hope this helped, guys.